No, I mean, like, you could finish the whole song. Yeah,
oh, sorry.
Oh, no worries. I'll use clips of it maybe, like, throughout.
Yeah, just whatever you want. It's so much easier to rely on something, whether it be medication or pain. So, my name's Rebecca. I'm from Bermuda. I have been at Acadia since 2011. I did an undergrad in music. I did a Bachelor of Music, and now I'm doing an education degree. I chose my room because it's where I spend most of my time when I'm not in class. And I like to decorate. There's posters, pictures everywhere. I definitely identify with living with mental illness, particularly with depression and anxiety, which has taken a lot to come to terms with. For me, that's a lot of trying to push through no matter what. I've had problems with mental illness for the majority of my life without really realizing it, and it's gotten progressively worse every year until it's just like, no, you have to deal with me now. So I spend a lot of time just either like by myself, like doing homework or just hanging out, and I find that that's when things are the hardest. Or even if I'm with people, I always find night is more difficult. Even just like going to bed, sometimes it's just a lot easier to just say, you know what, screw this, I'm going to sleep, and I will try again tomorrow.
So do you find, actually pulling yourself out of bed and forcing yourself to do something, even if it's something small, really helps you get through the days and that improves your mental health in the day?
It depends. Like, sometimes it'll just stay the same throughout the day, or it'll stay the same for hours at a time, and it's just me trying to fight that. Like, sometimes, yeah, it's great that I get up and do things, and it helps, but other times it's just like, you know what, I just really don't want to do this today, and it doesn't always, it's not really something I can really predict, just kind of go with it and hope for the best. People with depression tend to either sleep, or with anxiety as well, tend to either sleep way too much, or like not at all.
Yeah.
But it also can affect your appetite. Like, there are some days where I don't want to eat anything, and I'm just like, but I have to eat, I need to like function, and other days I just want to eat everything, even if it's like healthy foods. Like, I want to eat all the fruit that I just bought, and really it's usually chocolate, but still, like, it's like my appetite can be anywhere, just depending on the day. Like, every situation is different, right? I mean, there are a lot of blanket symptoms that help you diagnose and understand what's going on, but I mean, what depression looks like for me is not necessarily what it looks like for someone else. Even though I know that I have very supportive friends and family, it's sometimes really hard to reach out, because no matter what anyone tells you, you're always going to feel, well, maybe not you, but me, I always feel like maybe I'm bothering them, maybe I just shouldn't, but it's still like something that I really struggle with. So it affects my relationships in that way. But otherwise, like, for the most part, I find that the people around me that I've chosen to surround myself with, they're pretty understanding and they want to help. It's just about trying to figure out how. So where I'm from, mental illness is not something that is really talked about. So like I said, I'm from Bermuda, and it's beautiful. I like recommend to everyone that they visit. But there's a lot of stigma with mental health. It's not something that's really talked about there. So I mean, growing up and there being signs of mental illness, it's not anything that anyone really recognized. I mean, now that I talk about them, like, doctors are able to say, oh, you showed signs when you were younger, but there was nobody there to pick that up. And even talking about it, it's taken some time for people from home, and even for me, to like come to terms with what that looks like, because it's not something that we've ever discussed in school. I mean, it's not something that's talked about, so like, it affects me hugely. And I come to Canada, and I do love Canada, even though it's cold. Do love Canada. And like, people talk about stigma here, and it's like, man, there is definitely a stigma here, and I've recognized it. I've had teachers who didn't want to hear it, and I mean, I'm sure that there are always going to be some people who are more understanding than others, but at the same time, it's like, that stigma is still there, because if I had broken my wrist, none of my profs would expect me to write with that hand.
Yeah.
So
because it's something you can't see, people question it a little more. So what are some things that help you deal with your symptoms or your mental health?
A lot for me is I like to know what's happening, and I know that, you know, you can't always know what's going on, but whenever I can make a plan, I will. So I'm one of those people who's really big on lists, and I love crossing things off, so I will write the most minuscule things, like, check the mail, because that involves getting up and going to town, so, you know, I check the mail, cross that off my list. I live on my phone. I like to be able to reach out to someone, and I know that for me it is a social thing because there are not always people nearby, and I mean, I'm from another country, right? So, you know, reaching out to people across the ocean is not necessarily really easy to do without it. I stopped reading for a while because I found that I didn't have time, but now it's like, no, I have time. I'm going to make time. So I'm always reading, and even when the stories are tragic or crazy, I just really find that it calms me down. For me, I find that if someone tells me it's okay, you're strong, when I'm not feeling that way, it really makes things worse. It's like someone telling you to calm down when you're already mad.
Yeah.
It's just like yeah,
Your
I know.
blood pressure just.
Yeah. It's like I know that I can be strong, but when I don't feel that way and you tell me that I am, I feel like I'm not reaching your expectations, and like that really gets to me because I've always been a bit of an overachiever. So I like doing well and not meeting people's expectations, especially the people who I care so much for and the ones that support me. When I feel like I'm not meeting those, it really upsets me. So I don't know how everyone feels about that, of course, it's just me, but I don't like being told that I'm strong in a moment of weakness because I don't feel that way. It means a lot more for someone to say, like if they do understand, then to say that they understand and they're there. Or, you know, if they don't, just to say, you know what, I don't know what it's like, but I'm still here, and if there's anything that I can do, tell me because I don't know. Like, I think being honest about what you know and what you're capable of doing, like, makes a huge difference. The stigma is still there, but it's lessening enough for people to realize that, you know, it's not just them, and they can get help or they can admit to it. And I feel like a lot of people are talking about depression and anxiety because they are so easily stigmatized, because when you hear people use the language very commonly, like when they're stressed about something, oh, I'm so anxious, or I have bad anxiety. It's just like, no, you're just really worried about an exam, as you probably should be. Or if they're sad about something, oh, I'm so depressed. And it's like, well, maybe, but not just because you're sad. I feel like people want to talk about it more, and especially because there are so many stereotypes with those two. So people expect people with depression to always be sad, but that they aren't necessarily sad people. They just have those tendencies where, you know, that kind of takes over. Anxious people, I'm tired of blaming myself when I know it's not my fault. I don't think that it's right for anyone to tell you what your mental health is like, or if you were sick, or if there's something wrong with you. I think that unless an actual doctor says that you have a problem, it's nobody else's place to say, oh, you have issues, or you're crazy. No, I'm not sad all the time, so like when I say that I struggle with depression, don't expect me to always be upset, or don't expect me to always be stressed when I say I have anxiety. But, you know, if you want to be there, then be there.
We're just finishing up here in Rebecca's room. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We're going to finish up with her playing us a little piece. So look out for our next video coming in 2 weeks. We are looking for anyone and everyone to share their story with us. So stay tuned on that end. And here is Rebecca finishing up for us.
But I write sometimes, and even if I don't share my words, then...
Are you playing a song that you wrote right now?
Yeah. I'm
so excited.
I'm trying to decide if I should play this or something else, because I have 2 songs. Feels like forever with this pain, with these feelings that I can't control. I'm ready. I just don't understand why now. But let me drink this down, and I will swallow down my fears. How long have I been sitting here? Has it been days? Has it been years?
You can finish this one. So that concludes our 4th Breaking the Silence video here with Rebecca. Thank you all for listening. See ya.
Know that things have to get better, but what I don't know is how. But the doctor says that I'm ready. I just don't understand why.